Hello everyone and welcome to the Five Guys Pokemon League. This is actually the 5th season of this league, but the first season being shown on YouTube, so if you're interested in seeing any of the battles or stats from the previous seasons, links to that will be in the description. Without further ado, let's get into the video. The FPL is a Pokemon Draft League played in the National Dex format on Pokemon Showdown. In this league, 16 teams will draft a team of 12 Pokemon and compete for a playoff spot over the course of 9 weeks. Once the regular season is over, the top 8 teams will compete in the playoffs for the title of FPL Champion. The FPL is split into 2 conferences and 4 divisions, with each division being randomly assigned while also considering the player standing from the previous season. A team's battles will mostly be played within their division, but schedules are also partially generated by using the player's standing from the previous season. If you're interested in the exact details of how divisions and schedules are made, a link to the FPL rules is also in the description. With divisions and schedules set, it's now time to move on to the main event, the draft. The FPL draft takes place over 12 rounds, with each team choosing one Pokemon to add to their team in each round. The draft is snake style, meaning that the drafting position of each team flips between every round. Before the draft, the teams pick the position in which they would like to draft based on their standing in the previous season, with the team that finished the lowest choosing first and the team that won the championship choosing last. Once the spots are chosen, the draft begins. Each team is given 70 points to spend over the course of the draft, which are used to select different Pokemon. Pokemon are divided into tiers ranging from 0 to 20 points based on their competitive viability, with stronger Pokemon being more expensive. Each team is also required to choose one Mega Pokemon to add to their team. These Pokemon have different point values than non-Megas and range from 7 points at the highest tier to actually refunding 10 points if a player chooses a Mega at the lowest tier. A player can choose not to spend all 70 points, but has to have 12 Pokemon on their team at all times. After the draft, players are allowed to trade their drafted Pokemon for ones that have not been chosen, or those that have been drafted by other players. For the first day after the draft, players can make up to 3 trades of 2 Pokemon each for free, and can trade an unlimited number of Pokemon with other players, as long as both teams stay under the 70-point cap. After this first day, players get 2 free agency trades and 4 player trades for the rest of the season, which they can use at any time before the playoffs begin. Teams have to be careful though, because once you're out of trades, you're stuck with whatever team you have for the rest of the season. After teams are finalized, each player chooses 2 Pokemon as their Z users. These Pokemon are allowed to hold any Z crystal they want, but are the only 2 Pokemon on a player's team that are allowed to use a Z move. A team is allowed to change their Z user for free once over the course of a season, but otherwise that Pokemon has to be traded away or a new Pokemon has to be acquired in order to change Z users again. The battling rules for the FPL are as follows. All rules and clauses in the National Dex format on Pokemon Showdown are in effect, however a few other rules apply. First, the Z crystals Munium Z, Tapunium Z, and Komoium Z are not allowed, as well as any Z move that boosts all stats, such as Z Celebrate. Additionally, the Pokemon Landorus Therian, Mega Mawile, Hoopa Unbound, Deoxys Defense, and Ash Greninja are all not allowed, however regular Greninja with Protean is legal. Finally, this league has a special rule unique to the FPL. Starting in Week 5, all matchups will actually be played as 2 battles, and each player must use all 12 of their Pokemon between their 2 teams, requiring players to think not only about strength while building a team, but also depth and versatility. Now, with all that said, let's take a look at the draft and meet the teams. After finishing last place in the league last season, Team Rocket held the first overall pick in this season's draft. Deviating from the Rain team they had drafted in the past 2 seasons, Caitlin and Ben opted for an expensive, high-powered core in Clefable, Regieleki, and Mega Latias. They went on to pick up some strong physical attackers in the middle rounds with Heracross, Alolan Marowak, and Rhyperior, some bulky utility with Shuckle, Torterra, and Dugong, and then some late-round value picks with Skuntank, Drifblim, and Magmortar. It's a top-heavy team, but Clefable and Regieleki have proven to be very effective Pokemon in the past, so we'll see how they do this season. Coming off of Jameson's best season since joining the league, the Gladiators start the draft strong by taking Urshifu Rapid Strike with the 2nd overall pick. After taking some solid defensive options in Crobat and Gastrodon, the Gladiators took a low-tier Mega with Mega Steelix, which took over the league for the Riptides last season. He then took Zoroark in the 5th round for some special attack, and then drafted some bulk with Snorlax, Articuno, and a good inexpensive spinner in Turtonator. After a few high point picks in rounds 9 and 10 with Hitmontop and Cobalion, Jameson finished the draft by taking Octillery, his star F tier from last season, and Rotom Fan, a solid F tier with great defensive typing. With this draft, we could see the first full season of Urshifu in FPL history, and some proven value with Mega Steelix and Snorlax could be what the Gladiators need to make a playoff push this season. Despite finishing 6th in his division, RNGsus is coming off a respectable 10-11 season in the strongest division the FPL has ever seen. With the 3rd overall pick in the draft, Alex took Mega Garchomp, which, with its access to Scale Shot from the Crown Tundra DLC, has proven to be a deadly physical threat in past seasons. He then took Hippowdon in round 2, providing some physical bulk and enabling a sand synergy with Garchomp. Mamoswine and Alolan Ninetales came next in rounds 3 and 4, followed by a strong Spinner in Starmie and a potent special attacker in Chandelure. RNGsus followed that with some low-tier bulk in Dusclops and Lantern, and then went back to solidifying his Sand and Hail synergies with a Alolan Dug trio, Rotom Frost, Cacturn, and Cryogonal. While we have seen Weather do well in the FPL before, this is the first time we've ever seen a dual Weather team. Despite missing out on Arctozolt, which was taken by Teamfight Tactics, RNGsus does have strong threats in both Hail and Sandstorm, and aims to ride those threats into the playoffs over an admittedly weaker division this season. Although the Burp Squad ended last season with an impressive 14-7 record, he did miss the playoffs due to tiebreakers with the Die Guys. Because of this, Ayush was able to take the 4th overall spot in this season's draft, which he used to take Melmetal, a highly contested physical juggernaut. His bulk continued to grow with the addition of Slowking and Sylveon, 2 strong special walls in rounds 2 and 3. The Burp Squad's Mega selection came in round 4 with Mega Pinsir, which forms a fast, hard-hitting offensive core when paired with his next 2 picks, Scrafty and Raikou. Ayush then kept stacking bulks in round 7 through 9 with Druddigon, Claydol, and Weezing, and after originally picking Trevenant in round 10, it was later exchanged for Golem during the free trade period. He took yet another bulky option in round 11 with Licky Licky, but exchanged it for Audino, and then finished with a 0-point value pick in Thwackey, which does get access to both Grassy Surge and Grassy Glide like its evolution Rillaboom. This team has an insane amount of bulk, both physical and special, but does come at the expense of lacking some speed. However, if Mega Pinsir and Raikou can overcome that weakness, the Burp Squad could be one of the premier threats in the league this season. The Master Blasters are one of the 2 new teams this season and held the 5th pick in the draft, taking arguably the strongest revenge killer in the league with Mega Lopunny. In round 2, he took an A-tier Steel type in Jirachi, and then picked up a Steel Fairy Dragon Core in rounds 3 and 4 with Galarian Weezing and Flygon. In round 5, Ryan took some defensive utility with Tentacruel, a strong wall breaker in round 6 with Crawdon, and then a string of versatile D-tier Pokemon led by Alolan Persian, and following with Hitmonlee in round 8, Centiskorch in round 9, Drampa in round 10, and Sceptile in round 11. Ryan finished the draft with a high-value F tier in Absol. Overall, this is a very balanced team with a lot of versatile C and D tiers that can fill a variety of roles. The Mega Lopunny pick does stand out as his main offensive threat, and we'll see how this team can perform in the Master Blaster's first FPL season. Our first playoff contender from last season, the House of Commons chose to draft in the 6th position following Robbie's exit in the quarterfinals. He chose to draft Mega Altaria in round 1, starting with a strong Dragon Dance sweeper, and then went on to choose the A+ tier Mew in round 2, perhaps the most versatile Pokemon in the entire Natdex format. He then selected the feared physical wall that is Quagsire in round 3, and Magneton in round 4 to add some bulk to the roster. Scolipede and Talonflame in rounds 5 and 6 added some speed and offensive firepower, and then Hariyama, Chatot, and Spiritomb in rounds 7 through 9 gave the House of Commons some strong low-tier value, despite this being Chatot's first appearance in the FPL. Roserade in round 10 used up the bulk of Robbie's remaining points, and then Miltank and the House of Commons mascot Kecleon rounded out the draft. Much like the Master Blasters, this roster is very balanced compared to a lot of the other teams in the league, but the main question will be whether Mew can live up to its 20-point price tag. Much like the House of Commons, the Go-Goats also finished last season in the quarterfinals and held the 7th pick in the draft this season. In a shocking turn of events, the Go-Goats managed to take Celesteela in the first round, despite most players expecting it to be taken in the top 3, if not first overall. Jules followed that pick with Rotom Heat and Mega Diancie in rounds 2 and 3, forming a very solid core for his team. The Go-Goats then took Silvally in round 4 and Noivern in round 5, securing some proven value picks that have done really well in previous seasons. Goodra, Vikavolt, and Type Null followed, providing the Go-Goats with some more bulk and utility, which only grew when he selected Swampert and Mesprit in rounds 9 and 10. Jules finished the draft with Pangoro in round 11 and the deadly belly drum sweeper Lanoon in round 12. This team has a lot of offensive potential while still being able to utilize a strong defensive core with Celesteela and Rotom Heat. If Celesteela can match its performance from last season, this team could prove to be nearly unstoppable. After going 12-9 in the regular season, the Pimps finished in the semifinals after eliminating the House of Commons. In this draft, the Pimp started strong by taking Primarina and a Lowland Muck in the first 2 rounds, 2 proven mid-tier threats. Jackson completed his core by taking Salamence and Mega Scizor in rounds 3 and 4. While originally planning on drafting Darmanitan, Jackson had to change his plans a bit and draft Entei as Darmanitan was already off the board. But after picking up Lycanroc Day in round 6, he was able to solidify a very strong top 6 Pokemon. In round 7, the Pimps took RNGsus, which was a surprise standout performer for RNGsus last season, and followed up by taking Sneasel and Pyukumuku in rounds 8 and 9. Jackson took the fast, low-tier threat Boltund in round 10, Lurantis in round 11, and finally Dustox in round 12, which was later exchanged for Charjabug via free trade. The Pimps have one of the most top-heavy teams in the entire league, with 54 of their 70 points being used on their first 6 Pokemon. This team is likely to get off to a strong start, but will Jackson be able to hold on to that advantage once he has to start using all of his Pokemon? Our other semifinalist, the Riptides, finished at a respectable 15-6 last season, earning the 9th pick. Jack started strong with Tapu Lele, a top performer for the Go-Goats last season, and, after missing out on Cloyster, he took Mega Aggron, a monstrous Steel-type physical wall. He followed with more bulk, adding a Lomomola in round 3, followed by Zydog in round 4 for a fast offensive option with the ability to hit flying targets as a ground type. Round 5 yielded a solid spinner for the Riptides in Sarina, and then Jack selected Typhlosion in round 6, a fierce low-tier wall breaker. He followed with some utility picks in round 7 through 9, taking Orbeetle, Electrode, and Liepard. The Riptides added Gardevoir in round 10, and then traded their original picks Beware and Crustle for Incineroar and Toxicroak. While he wasn't able to get his usual picks this season of Crawdaunt, Rotom Heat, and Amoonguss, Jack was able to assemble a very balanced team with a lot of high-value picks. Pokemon like Sarina, Mega Aggron, and Incineroar have all been some of the best performers in their tiers over the past 4 seasons, and the Riptides could be a legitimate championship contender if these picks continue to perform at a high level. The Tox-Boxers are my personal team, and I ended up as the finalist from the Doinks division before losing to Teamfight Tactics in the championship. I ended up with the 10th overall pick, which I used on Skarmory for a strong physical wall. I then picked up 2 strong sweepers with Mega Gyarados and Poltegeist, before taking some bulk and utility in rounds 4 and 5 with Grimmsnarl and Ribombee. At this point in the draft, the captain of the Die Guys, Cameron, pointed out that RNGsus was still available, and with how it's performed in the past, I had to take it in round 6. I followed that up with some speed in Salazzle and a rapid spinner with Delmice as Donphan was already taken, and then finished the draft with some of my favorite low tiers. I took Quillfish in round 9, Electivire in round 10, Golbat in round 11, and my all-time favorite zero-pointer, Sudowoodo, in round 12. I'm pretty happy with my draft. I got almost everything I was going for with the exception of Donphan, and I did pretty well on the Natdex ladder while I was testing this team. I know that doesn't always translate to success in the league, but either way I'm really excited to start the season. Coming off the most impressive first season in FPL history, Teamfight Tactics was our Season 4 champion and held the 11th pick in this draft. Taylor started off strong with the fearsome Tapu Fini in round 1, following with more bulk in Ferrothorn and a strong Dragon Dance sweeper in Mega Charizard X. Round 4 yielded some speed for Teamfight Tactics with Jolteon, and then he managed to pick up the deadly combo of Arctozolt and Aurorus in rounds 5 and 6. Taylor took the underutilized Mienshao in round 7, and then made a somewhat surprising pick on round 8, taking the 2-point Strongjaw user Bruxish. The bulky Togetic came next in round 9, followed by Araquanid, Pyroar, and then finally Palossand. Taylor's monstrous core of Tapu Fini, Ferrothorn, and Mega Charizard X stands out as one of the scariest trios in the league, and paired with some strong value picks like Arctozolt and Bruxish, Teamfight Tactics could be looking to claim the title of champion again this season. Our other quarterfinalists from Season 4, the Die Guys chose to draft in the 12th position. In the first round, Cameron took one of the fastest Pokemon in the league with Mega Aerodactyl, a Pokemon which finished top 5 in KOs in Season 3. In rounds 2 and 3, the Die Guys added some bulk with Umbreon and Milotic, and then made an unexpected pick in round 4 with Zarude, a Pokemon that has seen little success in past seasons. In round 5, Cameron took the fantastic low-tier wall Galarian Corsola, and then followed up with a very unique utility option in Comfey. Aegislash in round 7 gave the Die Guys a very strong Steel-type option, while rounds 8 and 9 yielded some low-tier value with Delphox and Tauros. In round 10, Cameron chose to take Dartrix, a middle-stage Pokemon that he claimed to be very successful with while testing this team. He then went on to take the type-changing Oricorio in round 11 and finished with Stunfisk in round 12. Similar to the Burp Squad, this team stands out as being one of the bulkiest in the league. However, Cameron made great use of his low tier and mega picks, taking Pokemon like Delphox, Tauros, and Mega Aerodactyl to give the Die Guys some more offensive firepower. Only time will tell about his Dartrix choice though, and it may take until teams start battling twice to see it in action. Trash of Primary Hands, or TOF, is the last quarterfinalist from Season 4. With the 13th pick, Jason started with a strong pivot and special attacker in Zapdos. In round 2, he took Slowbro, and then followed with the incredibly versatile Infernape in round 3. Round 4 brought some value to TOF with Xatu, and round 5 brought back one of the team's top performers from last season, Durant. In round 6, Smeargle made its first FPL appearance, and was followed by a slew of Jason's trademark Trick Room sweepers in Caparaja, Rampardos, and Guzzlord. At this point, he had already burned through his 70 points, so in order to get some points back, Jason took his Mega from last season, and one of my personal favorites, Mega Banette. Using the 6 points from that pick, Jason was able to take Hoopa in round 11, and then followed the trend of second stage Pokemon in round 12 with Dottler. Much like last season, part of the Trash of Primary Hands team relies on Trick Room to function, but the higher point picks can most definitely operate well on their own. This team seems like it will start to really shine in week 5 and beyond, and players trying to over-prepare for Trick Room could regret their decision if they run into the other side of this team. The Vernal Equinox is our other newcomer this season, and chose to draft in the 14th position. With his first pick, Ren took the Weather Setter and Spinner Torkoal, following it with 2 incredibly dangerous threats in Cloyster and Darmanitan. In round 4, the Vernal Equinox added even more offense with Hydreigon, and then in round 5 chose Blossom, which benefits greatly from the sunny weather provided by Torkoal. Ren then took Celebi in round 6, Caracosta in round 7, and Musharna in round 8 before taking the expensive yet very powerful Mega Latios in round 9. He followed up with a strong physical wall breaker in Machamp, and then finished the draft with Sandaconda in round 11 and Dodrio in round 12. After the draft, Ren did reveal that the majority of his strategy was to draft Pokemon with a green shiny, but nevertheless, this team does look very strong offensively, and we'll see if he can pilot this team to success in his first FPL season. With the second to last pick in the draft, we have the Deep Clean Dream Team, or DCDT. Round 1 yielded a versatile offensive option in Azelf, which Sam followed up with another offensive titan in Mega Beedrill. Much to my dismay, he took Donphan in round 3, and then took some more offensive options with the heavy-hitting Xurkitree in round 4 and Swellow in round 5. The DCDT added a very solid all-around Pokemon with Arcanine in round 6, and then took the very good low-tier Spinner Hitmonchan in round 7. After taking Feeble in round 8, Sam took a Dragon Dance sweeper with Feraligatr, a low-tier physical threat with Ursaring, and then finished the draft with Shaman in round 11 and Sharpedo in round 12. The Dream Team has a very fast and hard-hitting team this season, with a wide variety of setup and type coverage at its disposal. It's one of the more frail teams in the league this season, but if Sam can make up for the lack of defense with his insane speed and offense, the Dream Team could be a very strong contender in the Tundra division. Coming off of a rocky season, the Underworld held back-to-back picks as the last team in the draft. With the final pick of the first round, Leaf took an all-around great Pokemon with Heatran, immediately followed by one of the league's premier defensive options in Amoonguss. In round 3, he took one of the bulkiest Megas on the board with Mega Venusaur, and a super versatile pick with Seismitoad in round 4. The Underworld stacked even more bulk in rounds 5 and 6 with Mandibuzz and Cofagrigus, before finally taking some pure offense in round 7 with Bisharp and Crabominable. In rounds 9 and 10, he went back to bulk with Piloswine and Bronzong before finishing the draft with Sandslash and Togedemaru. This team is definitely up there with the Burp Squad and Die Guys for one of the bulkiest teams in the league, and I'm very interested to see if stacking all this bulk will propel the Underworld to another playoff spot like back in Season 2. After the draft, each team submitted their 2 Z users, which can be seen here. And the season was ready to start. So that's all the teams in the FPL. We've all had a great time playing in this league, and I hope you're all as excited as we are for Season 5. Let us know in the comments which team you're rooting for, and if you'd like to watch the battles live as they happen, make sure you join the FPL Discord where you can catch all the excitement in real time. The Week 1 recap will be out soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and see you all in the first week of FPL action.